All right, it's been a minute because I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to contribute. I really don't. I'm not that intelligent. And so I see all these other people doing videos about books on YouTube, and I'm like, oh well, they're better than me. And that's not self-deprecating. Like they're literally more studied than me. They have more to offer. So why would I waste the time, A, my own, and B, any potential viewers, all two of them, having them watch me do something of lesser value? You know, it's a waste of everybody's time. Which kind of ties into what this is. Is it another book haul video? And I forget what I got. I went out of town yesterday to help a friend with yard work, and I passed a Barnes and Noble and was like, well, screw it. um, so I picked up some books, and right now I'm changing a lot of stuff. I don't have the room in my life to do the kind of studying that I was doing with certain things. Just heavy duty studying like sports and military stuff and just things that I just it's hard for me. It's more mentally taxing. It's heavy lifting, whereas reading generally it's like cardio for me. And I was talking about Leaves of Grass and how that was put together, and Walt Whitman and other things, and been reading some experimental poetry and thought about just restructuring my current work in progress in various different ways to make it more doable. And part of that is there will at least be sections I really don't know, and I'm undecided the exact form I want it to be and how I want it to take shape. I have ideas, I'm just not sure which one's the best. And so I just thought, I feel like a tourist with poetry. I feel like I'm not. Uh, I don't feel like a citizen, if that makes sense. And I've read a lot, being an English major and reading for so long, but I could do much better. And I thought, why not use this time to do that, which I can read easier, and study different meters, different forms, different writers and styles, so that the more I know, the better. Obviously, how I always say is each book that you read, each movie you watch as an artist, each painting you look at, that's a different color that you can now paint with. That's a new chord that you can now play. So whether you like it or not, everything's education, and that's really where I'm at now. And that's what I'm saying at the beginning of this video, and why I had the prelude, is to say that I'm not a teacher. I'm a student, and I should just recognize that and just say, hey, I don't know it all. I don't have the answers. I have questions. I have curiosities. So know my place. Do the work. Don't rush to write something that's not as good as it potentially could be. If I wrote something right now, and then 5 years later I read the things that I'll read anyways, I'll look back on what I wrote this year and think, wow, I could have done so much better, but I rushed it. I don't know. Anyhow, here's the books that I got. It's not that long. It's going to be a very quick video. This is the first one. I think I remember what this one is. Yeah, obvious. Don't love the cover. Not going to lie, not loving the cover. I actually saw this the other day. Oh, I got two book hauls. One I'm really excited. The bonus one's going to be cool as heck. But this is a basic bitch reader. We all know Emily Dickinson. But I've read all of them. I thought I should do that. Why haven't I already read everything she's written? She's obviously great. It's something you don't criticize. It's not like, oh, I read Emily Dickinson. How do you feel about that? And then, like talk some shit, Yeah, actually, she sucks, She's better than you. So you just kind of, again, you just know you're the student and you shut up and listen. This one's funny in light of recent events, but it's Dylan Thomas. And yeah, I don't know much other than his most famous works, which everybody knows, even if you don't read. But Bob Dylan anointed himself. He took his last name from Dylan Thomas, so that's pretty cool. So I should know him. It's embarrassing that I don't really. I should probably just delete my channel, because why would anybody watch something but someone who doesn't know Dylan Thomas? Another obvious one, but I like Irish poetry. I mean, that's my favorite literature is Irish, in German. Irish and German's my favorites personally. Well, Greek and Elizabethan. Okay, I like Irish stuff. Anyhow, it's Doobie Yeats. It's a terrible joke. Yeah, the collected poems of W.B. Yeats. I actually like this cover a lot. Um, yeah, it's cool. I don't like it's an issue that I have with classic literature where they try to modernize it to make it look hip. They make like Romeo and Juliet look like Twilight or something like that. You make what's it, the Wuthering Heights. They make it look like some kind of modern teen romance or something, and I just don't like that because it's false advertising. Because some kid might think it looks cool and get it and be disappointed because it's just not what they expected. On the flip side, maybe it catfishes kids into reading classic literature and they wind up loving it. I just don't see that happening. I don't like the style either. I mean, I think there's lots of great covers. I like the 80s style of horror covers the best. That's my personal favorite. The hand painted covers are my favorites. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion. I like for classic literature. I kind of just like my favorites are when it's just like shapes and like geometric designs, like a color on the cover. That's my absolute favorite. I adore that. I don't know why. That makes me so happy. And I own some books that are like that are so cool. Uh, but anyhow, if you can't get that, if you can't put a nice triangle on the cover, a square for me, I like just a cool picture of the author. I think it's pretty neat. And this one here, to preface it, I've known people who have read it. My one friend who likes a lot of different cultural literature, really enjoys it. It's not something I'm personally interested in for subject matter, to be quite honest. But it is something that the literary form I would like to learn from, and this was just the best example that I saw, and it was spoken highly of by someone whose opinion I respect, so I picked it up, and it's Japanese death poems written by Zen monks and haiku poets on the verge of death. And my thing with it is, I don't know, part of it almost feels, what's the word, voyeuristic, or not snuff, because they wrote it to be read. I don't know. It's just not the subject matter I'm interested in. The whole thing being about death, and I'm sure a lot of it is beautiful, especially with Zen monks and all that shit. But it's just not something I want to read about. To be quite honest, people on the verge of death and their dying words. That's cool. I get why other people do. That's just not a subject matter that I'm particularly inclined to pick up. But I want to learn haikus because it's like, well, if I can learn to use the economics of literature that a haiku does, where you can get an entire image or story in this few syllables even, that's really a skill that I would like to develop. So I picked it up because that was the only haiku book I saw, and I heard it was good, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll read about this. So then that was my book haul yesterday. I had one a couple days ago, and I don't do it this often. It's just kind of a week where I don't know. I needed something to make me happy. This one here was really cool, and I was texting a friend about it. I'm so excited. It's Brothers Karamazov, and the big reason I wanted it is you see here it's Dostoevsky, but it's spelled with an I, which is super cool. And it's just kind of a readable copy. I listened to it on audiobook because I have a tremendous eye strain and pain from that, so it's hard for me to read long books anymore, even though that's what I like doing. I just can't do it. My eyes get too tired and it becomes physically painful almost immediately. But what made me decide to buy it is I saw, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was flipping through it in the bookstore, and it was, I guess, kind of an antique store that I got it from. But I opened to a page, and it was the chapter titles here. It was the chapter "A Laceration in the Cottage," which not the contents here, but the actual chapter, which I'm not going to take the time to flip to single-handedly, and a chapter in the project that I've been working on. I'm not going to say, but the chapter title is almost identical, and I remember listening to the audio and thinking, oh my gosh, that's like the same concept, but just in different words that I wrote, because I wrote the chapter title like at least a year ago, probably years ago, and I was like, that's really cool. And I just flipped to a random page and I saw it there. And also in the same store there was a book titled Ask Norm, and Norm Macdonald loved Russian literature. That's actually half the reason that I wanted to pick it up. Him and Woody Allen, who are two of my biggest influences, both worship Russian literature, so that's what got me into it in the first place. And I believe in the famous Firefly story, a character's named after one of the Cabros. I believe it's Dimitri, but I forget, which I pretty much, I used to know it. I just fucked up the fucking, I just tore this, I think. Oh my gosh, I did. Fuck me. Sorry, I don't like using that kind of language, but yeah, it's a Persona by Ezra Pound. I know nothing about Ezra Pound at all. I saw it there. I like the cover. It's I don't know. I like just the simple image. Again, readable. There was an Emily Dickinson book at the same store. It was used. It was actually cheaper than the new one. And but I looked down. I was like, this looks old. It's a little too hefty even compared to that one there. And I'm never going to pick it up. I'm never going to read this because I'm going to be too afraid of breaking it. So yeah, those are the the books I've picked out this week, and I'm very excited about them. I hope that I have it in me to read them because, like I said, it's physically painful to read, to be quite honest, and I don't want to wind up like the Marquis de Sade